Welcome to Media Melanie TV. Today I'm back to talk about The Summer I Turned Pretty Season 3 on Prime Video. Each episode so far has started out with last something. We had last season, last Christmas, last supper, and last stand. So I'm just gonna throw it out there. Maybe episode 5 is going to be called Last Chance, representing the final chance for Belly and Conrad to get together ahead of this very rushed wedding, which is set to go off in 6 weeks' time. In episode 4, we had Belly's birthday blues, a lot of Lucinda. Like, can we please just stop with so much Lucinda? It's too much. I already had complained about there being too much Steven and Taylor, and now to throw Taylor's mom into the mix, please stop. Laurel is still emotionally MIA regarding Belly's wedding and has not thrown any support her way, including not going dress shopping, hence Lucinda being there. But it does seem like John is going to talk some sense into her because it's very clear that Laurel is actually projecting her own experience of marrying too young onto her daughter. So hopefully in this next episode, we will see Laurel start to come around and give Belly a little bit of love and support. And even if she doesn't think that this is right and that they're too young, at least putting on a good face for her daughter. One of the lines in the last episode, how are we supposed to do this without both of our moms? And Jer says we're going to figure it out. Hopefully they're going to figure it out in episode 5. If you didn't have a chance, you can also watch my review of episode 3 and 4. I was on summer vacation myself, so I did a combo episode this week, but moving forward, I will be doing individual episode reviews and next episode previews, along with some theory and discussion videos all season long. So be sure that you are subscribed and go ahead and like this video while you're at it. I'm also covering some other TV shows, including The Buccaneers on Apple TV+. If you like love triangles, cannot recommend that one enough. Also, Dexter Resurrection on Paramount Plus with Showtime and The Institute on MGM+. So be sure to stick with me for more TV talk this summer, but for now, let's talk more about what we could potentially see in episode 5. Now, coming off of episode 4, at the end, Conrad decided to stay in Cousins. I thought for sure he was going to get on that plane. The man cannot resist himself. He heard Belly crying, and he doubled down and made one of her favorite desserts, wished her a belated birthday, and then the hug where he's like, "What am I doing here?" Really good question, Conrad. What are you still doing here? Are you just torturing yourself? Do you want to try to let Belly know the truth and that you still have feelings for her? Or is he just being there as a supportive brother to Jeremiah because Conrad did actually agree to be a co-best man in the wedding? This slow burn energy of Team Bonrad, I am so here for it. And I'm also wondering, is Jeremiah going to find out that they had also spent some time together at Cousins during Christmas time, which nobody knows about? And while that's not cheating and akin to exactly what Jeremiah did in Cabo, which I guess technically is not cheating either, even though I didn't like it, I would imagine Jer is probably not going to like hearing this news. And something we saw in the trailer that we have not seen yet, Jer punching Conrad. Will that come into play in this next episode because he finds out about Christmas, because he finds out potentially something actually happens between Belly and Conrad, or could it be related to something else? At one point in the trailer also says to Belly, "I see the way Conrad looks at you," and Belly's like, "Oh no, nothing to see here." Well, that could also somehow play into this punch. I am dying to see that happen. And another thing we've not seen in the trailer yet is that Taylor and Conrad confrontation when she's like, "What do you expect Belly to do? Just ride off into the sunset with you because you all of a sudden remember she exists?" Taylor has made it very clear she's always been the CEO of Team Jellyfish, not on Conrad's side, but she also had not the strongest reaction to the news of Belly getting married, even though she did end up coming around. I do love Taylor as Belly's best friend. She's a strong friend. She's a great daughter. But again, one of my biggest hopes moving forward in this season, and particularly in the next episode, is less Lucinda. We had her dress shopping. We've got this whole side storyline about her ex-boyfriend Scott and how he ruined her salon by taking out all of these lines of credit in her name. I could care less about Scott. I could care less about her personal life. Like, if we have to have Steven and Taylor, fine. At least they've been a part of the show during the entire series. Lucinda is just coming out of nowhere. Does anybody else agree with me, or am I alone in this? Drop it in the comments and let me know. And really the biggest questions moving into the next episode for me are Belly and Conrad finally going to hook up? I want to see it, and hey, I don't condone cheating, especially when it's one brother to the next, but I do believe Belly and Conrad are endgame. In fact, I did put out a whole video on that, so go check it out if you haven't already. But raise your hand if you are Team Bonrad along with me, or if you're Team Jeremiah. You can also let me know in the comments. Just want to take everybody's temperature as we move through this third and final season. Also, how much longer can Laurel go on without supporting Belly? Again, I'm hoping that we see a little bit of forward movement with that and that she doesn't keep acting all immature and selfish. I don't love the acting of that character in general. Laurel has never really been a favorite of mine. I loved Susanna, but not really a Laurel fan. So therefore, I'm hoping that she at least comes around to support Belly and like something good comes from Laurel this season. I'm also wondering, is there a possibility for John and Laurel to get back together and rekindle their marriage? They had that heart-to-heart on the stairs. They obviously got together at that conference, so I'm also not putting that out of the realm. And as I mentioned, could this be the last chance for Belly and Conrad to reconnect ahead of this wedding, which may or may not happen? But again, I'm going with the name Last Chance. And honestly, if I'm correct and this episode is called Last Chance, I will be coming back in my review, taking the W and giving myself a big old pat on the back for it. Overall, this season has felt a little bit on the heavy side. I think we've had a little too much Belly and Jeremiah, even though we had a time jump. Thank goodness we did not have to see everything that has transpired in the last couple of years, because I'm kind of over Jeremiah and Belly. I don't think the acting has been super strong this season. And nothing personal against any of the actors at all, of course, but I don't know, for me, I just feel a little bit disconnected with some of these characters and some of the storylines, especially looking at you, Lucinda. But also, we're getting less and less of Belly's narration, and I feel like in losing that, the show is also losing just a little bit of its heart. But maybe that is also meant to represent Belly maturing and growing up, kind of like in the original Dexter, when Dexter's internal monologue went away when he ended up moving on to that other part of his life at the end of the original Dexter. I don't know, but either way, I just kind of wish we had more internalized Belly narration like we've had so prevalent in the series leading up to this season. And Belly's arc as a whole, I don't know, she just comes off as a little bit more annoying. And yeah, she's had some personal growth, but she seems to always be reverting back to some of these immature ways. Especially in that scene where Jeremiah and Belly were floating in the pool on that inflatable, drinking, making full fun of Conrad for calling them ridiculous. I mean, they are ridiculous. They should at least own it instead of making fun of it, and especially should not be talking about it with Conrad in literal earshot. When Laurel called out Jeremiah for not being ready, she's not wrong. He doesn't understand what it takes to make a commitment. Jeremiah has been kind of a player, including while he was with Belly, even if they were on a break. I'm just not a fan of Jeremiah, and I am really hoping here in episode 5 we get more Conrad and Belly, because another thing we saw in the trailer was them having this conversation driving in the car where Belly's telling Conrad, you seem to have it all figured out, your life out there in California, and Conrad says something like, well, you've grown up too. I don't think he actually thinks that. But I do think he wishes that they were together, and maybe something will come up while they're having a conversation in the car. Perhaps this could be the time. And the Fisher brothers in general are just on the complete opposite emotional wavelengths. Conrad has been brooding, a little bit sad boy. And I guess Jeremiah is as well, particularly with the situation with his dad, Adam, who's just a complete piece of garbage. But I think Jeremiah is also in denial and just so focused on this wedding and the fact that it's happening that he's not really thinking this through. He puts on this happy face like, oh, everything's fine. We're going to be fine, Belly. I'm okay. But I think below the surface, he might be actually suffering more than Conrad is over brooding over Belly with his internal struggles related to being a super senior with everything going on with his dad. So I'm also interested to see Jeremiah's continued arc in the series and where he ends up when season 3 is over. Something I do not want to see in episode 5 is Belly deciding she doesn't want to go to Paris. Signs are indicating that might be the case, especially with Taylor not going to New York. Maybe they'll commiserate with each other, and that will help Belly make the decision like, oh, hey, my best friend's not going to do her internship. Why should I go to Paris? I've been saying it since the beginning of the season. If she turns down Paris for Jeremiah and to get married, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. I have so many regrets about not doing study abroad, doing more travel, taking a gap year when I was younger. If I could turn back time, that's one thing I would definitely do differently. And hey, maybe I'm projecting my own situation here, similar to what Laurel's doing, but I also just want to encourage all of the younger viewers out there, don't ever not go to Paris or wherever, especially for the sake of a boy or a girl, whatever you're into. Episode 5 is not even going to be halfway through the season because there are 11 episodes in total. And something I mentioned in my review this week was, do we need 11 episodes? Could we get rid of some of these storylines with Taylor and Steven's potential love interest in Denise, and of course, Lucinda? Where did she even come from? There is so much screen time with Lucinda. It's actually like driving me insane at this point. So here's to hoping episode 5 has less Lucinda, more Belly and Conrad, and potentially that physical altercation between the brothers. And again, I'm thinking maybe it could be called Last Chance, but drop your potential title ideas down in the comments as well, along with how you're feeling about the season as a whole and any predictions that you might have heading into episode 5. I really appreciate everyone who's been here with me for my Summer I Turned Pretty coverage, and I'm also covering other shows, as I mentioned, The Buccaneers on Apple TV+. And you know what? If you like The Summer I Turned Pretty, which obviously you do, cannot recommend enough checking out The Buccaneers. It's got love triangles galore, hot and steamy moments, lots of scandal. It gives soap opera vibes, but in a slightly different way because it takes place in the 1870s, but it also has a young and modern feel. Along with that, Dexter Resurrection on Paramount Plus with Showtime, the best Dexterverse spinoff so far. And if you've been wavering on whether or not you should watch it if you were into any of the other Dexter shows, yes, you should, and also check out my coverage. Finally, I'm also talking about The Institute on MGM+. It is not the most popular streaming service. However, they do have trial options and you can add it onto your Prime Video subscription. And while you're there watching The Institute, which is adapted from a Stephen King novel and stars Mary Louise Parker from Weeds, and it also stars Robert Joy, who plays Victor's dad in the show From, which is also on MGM+. One of my favorite shows. It's From stars Harold Perrineau and also has some of the Lost team involved. Definitely give it a look. And if you like Stranger Things, The Institute might be for you. I will be back again very soon with more TV talk, so make sure you like this video, you hit that subscribe button. As I've been talking about, I am working on becoming a full-time TV content creator, and every single time you join me here, it really helps me get one step closer. So thanks for being here. Media Melanie, clicking off.